to the Tapestry of Life. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services at Community College of Philadelphia. Today's topic is, why do I keep relapsing in my recovery? As you well know, relapse is a process. It's not an event. In order to understand relapse, one has to understand the stages of relapse. Relapse events are more than just physical relapses. They are emotional and they are mental. Some of the signs for emotional relapse are anxiety, intolerance, anger, defensiveness, mood swings, isolation, not asking for help, not going to meetings, poor eating habits, and poor sleeping habits. Mental relapse are things about people, places, and things you used with, glamoring your past use, lying, hanging out with your old friends, fantasizing about using, thinking about relapse. An ability to work on the above emotional and mental issues will ultimately lead to a physical relapse. To discuss the topic today, I want to welcome back my co-host, Rick Ford from the Department of Behavioral Health, and my two special guests, Malik Mohammed and Elizabeth Felder. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Maybe we could start by maybe just saying what's in your recovery? How long are you in your recovery right now? And maybe you can tell me a little bit about that to get started. I know both of you are fairly young in your recovery, from what I understand. I mean, in this recovery, as you know, we had a couple different ones.
Well, I'm coming up on 5 months, and I'm in a recovery house.
How often, let me just say it this way too, you're 5 months into your recovery, and I was wondering, is this your first, your second, your third attempt to get clean?
My third time.
Your third time. Is there something in particular about why you think this one's more important than the other two, or what were some of the triggers that we talked about, maybe the physical or the mental or the emotional?
Well, the first time I did it for my family, it didn't work. The second time I did it because people just was on me about, you need to change. But the third time was something different. I'm doing it for me. Every relapse was different. It's just this time it's worse. I fell out. I had a heart problem. Brain ism. I'm done. I don't want to.
You mean the third time it was a lot of your physical problems that precipitated you saying, I got to stop doing this?
Yeah, it's time for a change. It's different. I don't feel like I want to get high. The desire is gone.
Sometimes they say that desire is actually age-related. You're fed up with it, and after a while you just say to yourself, I've had enough of this. And your body really doesn't have the same resilience physically.
Exactly.
It doesn't over time. When you're younger, you can kind of bounce back, real quick. Does any of this make any sense?
Yes.
Going back to your 3 episodes of relapse, tell me a little bit more. It's interesting that people can hear what was happening. You said the first time you did it for your family, and the second time you did it for what? No, the second time you did it for what?
The second time I did it for my boyfriend.
Relationship.
Yeah.
And now, each time something had to happen to make you go back to using.
And the first 2 times, if you mention it, they're outside of her, not inside of her,
indeed.
which is kind of interesting too. That's another issue of relapse.
So what's different this time?
Because this is for me.
Great.
I don't need to keep the boyfriend. I can care less. My mom passed. I was getting high. I wasn't really close to my mom, but I loved her. I knew who she was. But my aunt and uncle raised me.
Yeah.
So I was raised around pills, drugs, crack, and this and that. It was all around. We grew up when we grew up, everything, it was freebasing. All that was around me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to participate in all that. But now it's not fun anymore. It's stuff that's going on in my body, my sickle cell, my asthma, my seizure. Just so much is going on with my body that I died 3 times But
You died 3 times?
yeah,
I
I
mean,
OD,
through
and they
OD?
brought me back. Every time I woke up, I was in the hospital. So the Lord wasn't ready for me yet.
Okay. Where was
So-
the longest you ever been clean during these episodes?
Well, I was in Boston, Massachusetts. I was clean for 2.5 years.
Two
But
and a
I
half
did it.
years.
I did it for the kids to get the kids back. And then when they came back,
You got high again.
I didn't want them. I said, "You should come get them."
Yeah.
You know, I wanted everything instant gratification. I did it for all the wrong reasons. I did it to get the kids back. I did it because my dad said that this is what I should do.
Yeah.
Did you see a direct relationship between I don't want the kids any longer and getting high again?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's it.
quicker.
Well, it's quicker because you know the way DHS, the Department of Human Service, works is
Yeah,
that
the
you start
kid-
getting high again,
Yeah,
they're going to come in and
Take
they'll
the
take
kids.
the kids from you
Yeah.
for all justifiable reasons, I guess, in the sense that you're getting high and you're not,
Yeah.
you know,
That,
being the kind of mother you want it to be, maybe. Right?
Let's swing
Yeah.
over to Malik for a minute. We're going to come back to you
Okay.
because I think it's interesting that we kind of want to talk about staying clean on sheer willpower.
yeah.
Is a temporary solution for a lifetime problem. And later in the show, we'll talk about what mechanisms are you using now to maintain that 5 months. But we're going to swing over to Malik Muhammad. Well, welcome to the show here, bro.
Thank you.
Now, as we were talking a little in depth about the relapse process in your recovery. Now, how many times have you relapsed?
Oh, well, relapse, to me, you can't relapse if you wasn't recovering. And I've started and stopped using drugs 7, 8 times over the years.
Right.
How many years was that, Malik, would you say?
Over
20
years,
years or 30
yeah,
years?
over a good 20 years. Well, 7, 8, 9, 10 times over the last 20 years. I've been using drugs a long time. But I was never into, I'm going to recover. I'm going to the meetings. I'm going to hug this guy. Because I had a thing about hugging dudes and a thing about telling people my business. So
Yeah.
going into a meeting and then coming up and saying I'm an addict, I didn't really believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And like until I met a woman years ago, like in 90, 95, somewhere around there, yeah. And she picked me up off the streets. I was living in a crack house in Strawberry Mansion, and this woman was a student at a temple, and she worked at the art museum. She had a little 4-year-old son, and I read a lot. I found these books in the trash. Dr. Ginsburg's office had closed down. I had these books, and this woman walked by me. She said, "You selling those books?" I said, "No, I'm not selling these books. I'm reading these books." She said, "Wow, can I borrow that one?" It was human anatomy and it was biology and human anatomy. It's about health. And so I said, "Well, you can borrow it." So she was sneaking around getting high too. She was one of those
wow.
lacers.
Yeah.
But she worked and she went to school and was raising her son.
She was, they call it functional.
Yeah. And so
functional
she used to come to the crack
alcohol.
house
Okay.
through the back door and buy her stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I used to be one of the guys with a big shotgun and stuff. I come through the
Protector.
door, yeah. I was like, so I used to see her. I said, "Wow, who's that girl?" So one day she would call to have the stuff ordered. Anyway, make a long story short, she was ordering her stuff. She was one of those miss things that couldn't be seen buying.
Right.
And I was the guy who had to deliver it to her. So
Oh,
I went
okay.
to her and I delivered the stuff to her. She called on the phone and I said, "Wow." I said some stuff to her, which she said, "Well, you're the guy with the books. Can you bring that book around?" So I said, "Wow, I'm going to get her." And I always had a thing like women who get high, there's always a compromising point somewhere. I don't care who you are or what you do. You say you don't stand on 33rd Street tricking, but you can be compromised because you're not, nobody
drugs.
has Richard Pryor money.
Yeah,
Even he had a point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you, what I'm saying, if you're not rich, you're gonna be compromised somewhere you can be. So anyway, I went out and I robbed some guys on, cause that was my thing. I robbed some guys on York Street. Wow. Anyway,
Yeah.
and I came back with big 500 pack and
Yeah.
compromising points was set in,
Sure.
and we became friends. And before you know it, she was moving me into an apartment. And then I fell in love with her. She fell in love with me, and then she said, "Wow, I gotta get my life together." She wound up getting pregnant by me, and she knew about Williamsport. She said, "I'm going away. If you don't come, I'm gonna leave you. I'm taking the baby, and blah, blah." And she went to Williamsport, and now I'm left. So I'm back to my old whatever.
And what was your old whatever? What was
Every
that?
day I would, she let me live with her, but I had to get out in the morning. She would go to work, and I would go out and do my thing all day long, and I'd be on the steps when she come home. She'd get paid. I would beat up, take some of her money, and then I would go get high with some other girl around the corner.
Yeah.
We'll come back 3 days later. she would punch me in the face. You know, I'm not coming here to eat. And where you been? And then we'll be back together again until another week she got paid. And it went on like that for a while, man. And I didn't really see the insanity of that with me and her. We both trying to live together, and relationships don't work when both of y'all getting high, either one of y'all getting high, because somebody's gonna get the other one high before the other one get that one clean. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna always be some strife and stress in that relationship.
Yeah, well, it goes to the point of, you know, the story of people, places, things, and situations, and
But what
you
happened
can't
with
get
me,
clean.
Yeah.
I started learning stuff like insecurity, words like that. I
Yeah.
never heard that kind of stuff. You insecure? What's wrong with you? Because I was real jealous. And so when she went to Williamsport, and then one day a friend of mine, Brian Starler, he came from Williamsport. He had been up there telling me, "Come on, man, come on, get yourself together, man."
And for the people in the audience, what's Williamsport? I mean,
It's Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
a
They call it recovery
it's
town.
a recovery town.
But it's a small town in Pennsylvania where they got the Underground Railroad where Harriet Tubman went through. The Caucasians up there are better than they are down here. Put it like that. They are. A lot of them. You don't see a lot of tension up there. Like, well, in North Williamsport, I'm not gonna lie. There's a part of Williamsport. There's a South Williamsport and a North Williamsport. They have two mayors up there.
But the point you're trying to make is that recovering people
Yeah,
migrate to
you can walk
Williamsport
around. If you up there,
for
people will
geographical
see
change.
see you and they'll say, "What's up, man? You know, there's a meeting and so. What you doing?" You could be walking down the street.
So it was a kind of an AANA town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a recovery town.
you see a
Recovery
bunch of
town,
people,
they used to call
white,
it.
black, Mexican. You
That's
see
right.
people in the same car going to a meeting.
Well, we
certain
know
times a day.
addiction's colorblind. We know
So,
that.
so,
We know
that,
that.
so,
Yes,
that's,
it is.
so let's get back to trying to identify.
Okay,
You
why-
talked about their relationship. She went up there.
I followed her. So when I got up there, she said, "You can't live with me." Now once I get up there. I made a guy take me up there. He drove me up there because he was doing a moving job. I said, "You're not leaving until I go with you. I'm gonna stab your tires if you try to leave here." It was squid. He took me.
Yeah.
He was at the crack house. And
Yeah.
He took me to Williamsport, and she met me in this place called the Waitman Building. He had me in the room where he had moved the furniture out. He had me in there sleeping on the floor. She came in with my baby. She said, I get really emotional when I think about this, but
That's good.
she came. She said, "Come on to the house." You know, she said, "It's your baby." I mean, she was like a year old or something. She's 14 now, and so she was like, I went to her house, and then she said, "You can't live with me." My sponsor said, "You'll get me high before I get you clean." I'm like, damn, you know, like I'm up here. Like, what the hell am I gonna do? So there's another friend of mine. He owns houses up there. He said, "I'll give you a room if you go to the VA because you're a veteran." I said, "What?" Damn, I didn't even think about that. He said, "Well, Wilkes-Barre has a veterans program up there. You just got to go down to Penn Street and sign up, and they'll pick you up in the morning." Anyway, they took me to the VA hospital, and I stayed there for the 21-day program. So I stayed clean 2 years after that. But I did it for her. I didn't go to Williamsport for me.
Wow.
I didn't care about.
You did it
no
for someone
recovery.
else. Yeah.
I got in there. I didn't trust the guy. I didn't get a sponsor until I was a year clean because I didn't trust nobody to tell them my business. I wasn't writing on no damn steps, and I'm not no addict. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it took me a while to even start adjusting. And there's people who up there like, dude, she had knew me all my life, and she was like, "Man, Malika's starting to recite some doctrine." Because it's,
Yeah, well, it's a tough story to tell, actually.
Well,
You
but
know-
you know what's interesting about that? You know, we quite often talk about people, places, and things, and geographical changes. And one of the things that I learned many, many years ago, they say an addict alone is in bad company.
yes.
And in saying that, when I want you both to think about this, when you stop doing the things that you need to do to stay clean, whether it's a support group, outpatient, support, sponsor, whatever, other people in recovery, you begin to regress. And then you begin to isolate. And I want to use this, and I want you both to get this. They say isolation leads to dark rooms where negatives are developed.
Yeah.
And you got to really understand that. Well, we're not good at making good, rational decisions on our own after being clean for a while. So you have to go back and re-examine. What was the contributing factors of me relapsing? I went to Williamsport because I'm chasing my woman. But when that didn't work, eventually I used again. She talked about relationships. So, you know, you guys have had a series of episodes of relapse that subsequently would take you right back to the very beginning.
Well, you know what I didn't realize that I realized this time. I didn't hear some stuff. So you can hear stuff, but if you don't comprehend what you're hearing, it's just like a lot of words being thrown at you, and you're like speaking a different language that you don't even understand. They taught me this time that I have an allergy to drugs and alcohol, which are the same. I have an allergy. I'm allergic. And like my son tells me on the phone, I told him, I said, you know, man, I have an allergy. I didn't hear that before.
Yeah.
I heard about it in comprehend. He said, you don't have an allergy. You're just not a functional addict. And I cussed him out. I said, don't tell me what the hell I understand. He told me, no, people with allergies, they break out in spots and stuff. And
You break in
rashes.
spots.
I said, I break in spots
Right.
in people's
That's right.
houses.
That's
and shit.
allergic
They call-
reaction.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I break out in places like dirty crack houses and jails
right.
and
That's
institutions.
true.
That's a spot. He said, oh, well, you got a point there.
Yeah.
I said, don't tell me. I said, don't try to tear down what I'm trying to build up for myself.
How did you
Because
get to a point now where you're listening and you hear it? What
Well,
happened that
well,
you listen now?
This last time I was homeless, which I have 10 children, and 7 of them, well, one of them died, but 7 of them are grown, and 3 of them are still. Well, one is 18 and one is 14 and 11. But what I'm saying is, my children, I could have went to their homes, and they constantly saying, "Come on, man, what you doing? You on the streets?" And I was in the streets, living in a van, paying somebody to go take a shower over their house and stuff. This is where it got to. 'Cause I was living with my mother. My mother's old, and now my sister's having our house refurbished. So we was all out in the street. She said, "You gotta find somewhere to live because I'm getting mom's house redone. Nobody can live there because they're ripping it." And so I've been in the streets for the last 7, 8 months, 9 months, really longer, because I would be home with my mom, and I wouldn't want to go there when I'm getting high. So I was in the streets, living in the streets with the raccoons and the possums and the stuff in the old houses and stuff. 'Cause they seems to know me in Strawberry Mansion.
Who the raccoons or the
The
possums?
raccoons and the possums. I got pets. And
They're
the
your pets, man.
Yeah.
He
But,
said they seem to know me in Story
yeah.
Mansion.
But I found myself living like this. I'm saying, look at you, man. You know, and I'm talking to myself daily. When I be getting high, I'm sitting in there and saying, man, I'm tired of this. What is wrong with you, man? You want to live like this, man, really? And a lot of stuff that I heard 12 years ago has started to resurface. So I kept saying, man, I'm going away. I said, I'm getting the hell out of here, because you don't understand, you're going to kill yourself, man. You know, I was born with bronchitis, and here I am 5 months ago, 6 months ago, I started smoking cigars again.
Yeah.
Well, not again, but I started smoking them. I was buying them. People thought I had weed in them. I said, nah. For some reason, it was like I was trying to kill myself, because I know if I ever got bronchitis, why in the hell am I smoking cigarettes and putting tobacco and tar in my 3,000 poisons in that stuff? And I'm just smoking them like they were cigarettes, 4 or 5 a day.
Yeah, some
To the
people-
point-
Well, let's do this, because we're going to come back to you, Malik, because I share this story. Being clean for 22 years, and I'll say this publicly and for the record, me and Malik used to sell drugs together.
Oh, okay.
And we had a plan, and the deal was this: if either one of us were used, that would end our hustling relationship.
Yeah.
So and I'll say this: we were really doing fairly well at that time financially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the streets of Story Mansion, and I got a call 3 in the morning. Say Malik around is shooting at people. So I knew then, when his sister called me and said, "You need to go get Malik. He's around there shooting up the neighborhood." I knew that Malik had relapsed, and not a church of drug, but alcohol in the bar, buying drinks,
Yeah.
and that ended our hustling relationship. So it's been a series of 22 years of continuous in and out, in and out, in and out, and
And that's something you've been clean all that time. though.
22 years, yeah, 22 years. When
Yeah,
I left
remember
you, I
I
said,
remember when you first started.
yeah.
Ain't that something?
So you
Yeah,
know,
but-
I used to be
Malik-
jealous of him. I used to say, why the hell he got to be
Clean.
staying clean. He got 6 years. I remember you had 6 years. I said, man, the hell with Rick. He gonna get high next week. What? He gonna get high.
yeah. You tell me one time you tried to hit me with a machete, tried to rob me.
Whoa.
Well, no,
Yeah, I
we're
was
gonna
jealous.
come back
That
to
was-
But
that.
I wanted to have, but I believe you have a very interesting history, in the sense that you were like a boxer for a while.
Yeah,
The
had
things that
31
you would
professional.
think would, because of your physical health, that you would stay away from,
A lot of guys in the fight game get high.
yeah.
But they did when I was there. That's who started. I'm not gonna say his name, but he had this big fight with this champion, and I came in his house to go running with him. He had a pile of cocaine on the table. I said, what is that, man? He said, it's a little stimulant, man. Man, I ran so hard that day, the dog was mad at me, man. The dog was like, what you doing, man? We're not running no more.
You ran the dog.
Yeah, the dog was the devil. I'm like, now I'm stuck. And he telling me, come on, man, let's go. And I'm like, give me a little bit more of that, man. And the years went on and on. I lost a family, man, children behind drugs, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm wondering, like, when was it ever going to get to the point where I could stand up and say, I'm done. I was always going to jail. And I said, okay, I'm cool now. I'm in prison. I'm going to meetings. But I wasn't doing it. I was doing that for the parole board, the probation officers, and all that kind of stuff. And as soon as I got back out, because that stuff, like she was saying, she don't have a desire. And I prayed to God that He'd take that desire away. And God took that desire. I really believe that God is working in my life now, because before it was me. Like sheer willpower to stay away. Now I can't stand to smell that, or the people that do that. I don't want to be around them, exactly. Which I know I have to, because when I go in meetings, I can smell somebody that's really, really fresh, or that they was drinking today. Other than that, I went there, I said, man, somebody there drinking. I said, shut up, Malik. Worry about you, man. Worry about you.
Keep the focus on you.
Yeah, because I know, and that little stuff, because I live right around drugs. I live right around drugs, drug dealers, and everything. And like they say, wherever you go, you take you with you. So I can't go leave the planet. I'm not going to abort my children, my grandchildren, which is all about me, but I ain't got to do that. I'm not new. I know what I have to do with me. I know my triggers.
What made you stronger? And you're only a month into your recovery, which is, you know, that's a short period of time. You're a baby, and you've been in and out of it.
I've been there before.
What makes you feel confident this time going into your
it's
recovery?
It's a feeling I have in my stomach, man. Before I couldn't wait to smell a beer, man, or wine. That's what leaves me. That alcohol is my drug of choice. But the cocaine, and people say, well, that cocaine what follows, because it's like a roller coaster ride with me, but up and down, but I don't have that. I don't have that desire. Like they say, opportunity desire meets you in trouble. I don't have that desire. The opportunity is just there. I don't have that desire, and I don't have an option to use anymore. So you got to use
your mind, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, listen to this. Let's lay this scenario out. You mentioned earlier you love your kids and your grandkids, and you love your family. If they call right now, the phone rings right now and say that your family just burned up in a fire, can you get through that and don't use?
Yeah, I really believe I can. I would need to stay sober even more than now, than just now, because I don't have a lot of problems right now. Well, my mom is elderly, my father's elderly. I have a baby mom in Williamsport. She's dying from cancer. She has lung cancer, and I got to get with her. They need me sober now more than anything.
Okay.
See, that's a plus. I need me sober. Clean.
So something done happened in your spirit this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been beat down and built up all in the same.
Like a spiritual awakening.
It is an awakening.
Because Lord, I'm saying, you know, man, God's like, well, I'm not gonna give you any more chances. Not just that, because I fear God, but I'm not like, wow, scared that God is gonna strike me, because we all gonna die. I don't want God to take His love from me, take His light from me, and have me walking around wandering in the darkness, because I had to put myself in the darkness voluntarily. So I imagine how it would be if God was just say, okay, you on your own. Okay. Then I would be done for real.
Well, that's
you
true.
Know what I mean?
You all right, huh?
Does any of this make any sense, Elizabeth?
I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about you. And you know, what you talked earlier about your family, you have a support mechanism. The same scenario we laid out for Malik. If they call now, if you go home or get that disturbing call that your kids was murdered, can you get through this stuff and don't use again?
I believe I can.
Yeah.
Because it's different this time.
What makes it different?
The everything is like the rat poison, the stuff they put in there is paranoia.
You mean the cut into drugs and stuff?
It's just not the same. And people ain't the same. They robbing you. You can't go to the bathroom. You come back, they done took everything. You know, like you crazy or something. It's like it's just different. It's like I don't feel that. I want to go places. I ain't never been nowhere. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. My dad is in Boston. I've been in New York on a shopping spree, but I ain't been nowhere.
Right.
And I'm 44.
You 44?
You know, and then it's like my kids. I gave them up so they can have a better life because I couldn't raise them. You know what I mean? I turned them over to the state. My dad and, you know, they couldn't help me because they was focusing on his kids, and his wife was, didn't accept my kids, and so much went on in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For sexual abuse, all that. I just been through so much.
Have you had any urges, cravings, or desires to use?
I don't know. I asked the Lord to take that away, and He did that.
Okay.
You
What
know.
about you, Malik? You getting urges?
I get
cravings?
those thoughts.
So what you do when you get them? That's what I want to know.
What I do is talk about it. I tell somebody. The guys around my neighborhood is tired of hearing me talking. I tell them, listen, before somebody told me, I had my 30-day tag, right? And before they said, hide that, man, because it's anonymous. You ain't supposed to let nobody know. And I used to walk around with the book. Nah, man, you don't let everybody know you in recovery, man. They'll shut jobs down on you. I don't give a damn who know I'm a recovering addict
right.
now. This is the thought I have now. The hell with you. If you don't accept me because I'm a recovering addict, because you don't trust me, you think I'm going to steal from you, I know people that's clean will rob your ass, so I don't care. I'm just trying to do this for me.
Yeah.
My life is going to get better because I want to keep in mind. That's why I put this on here. And I got one on my bike, and I'm going to put another one when I get the next one. I'm going to hang them where I can keep seeing them.
Right.
That's why I go to meetings. They say go to meetings for 5 days and announce yourself. So when I get my 60, one day at a time, I'm going to put my tag, I'm going to put it on my coat, and wherever I go, I'm going to carry that.
Right.
So you'll know and I'll know. I'm a recovering addict, and I got 60 days clean. I got 40-some days clean now, and I'm going to be proud of that. I'm going to keep it going.
Yeah.
Because I've been so long looking at myself like shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, feeling like that. I don't want to feel like that anymore.
And you know what? Is another thing is, it's like everything's different. Like my family, they welcome me in. They ain't hiding their pocketbooks. I can go upstairs and go to the bathroom when they ain't following me and this and that. It feels good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can go to dinner. I can go to Sunday dinner. Now they can come eat dinner with me.
Yeah.
On Sundays and where we at.
Yeah.
And it's like I can do things now, like I didn't do before. I see a lot of things different. I can go shop and come right back, or I can go to the store and bring your change right back.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like people trust me now. I have a 10-year-old niece. I've raised her since she was little. She loved me. She come eat dinner with me on Sundays. We got visit on Sundays from 2 to 6, and they loving on me, and it feels so good. I wouldn't change that for nothing in the world.
Yeah.
Because I could lose all that in one day if I just go back. If I go back out there, I lose everything, and I don't want to lose everything.
And it takes a while to get there because you've had a couple relapses. What happens is that they've heard these promises before.
No, everything was different.
Yeah, indeed.
You know what I mean? They hear them
And
before and they say, "Oh, here
experiences.
it is again." But for some reason, this time, they seem to believe you.
Yeah, my son believes me,
Yeah,
and that really means a lot to me.
You know what's really interesting about this whole process of relapse? I always go back to my early stages of me not knowing. I was somewhere playing tennis and I found a wallet. Something happens when you start,
Yes, yeah.
you're finding money. I found a wallet with $300 and something.
Oh, yeah,
I was at someplace playing tennis and I went around, whose wallet? Because I want to kind of do the noble thing.
Yeah.
Well, no one responded. And my thinking says, well, it belongs to me now. Mind you, I'm in 30, 37, 40 days of trying to stay clean on sheer willpower. Now I find this wallet. And I leave the place, and with all the intentions that I'm going to do something right, buy me some clothes, buy some food, but I walked one block and I found somebody we know, a young lady who was prostituting. And she seemed to appear from the darkness. Hey, Rick.
Oh, my
And
God.
a lot of us know that sometimes sex, drugs, and all that stuff go together.
Yes, it does.
And I found myself in a house on Diamond Street. Not even to get high. After I realized that I had just tried to prostitute with the young lady, and it was so disheartening that I had went through that $300-something, but I had given away those 37 days.
Wow.
So I learned from that point on that there's something that I can't ever do again. My sponsor told me something a long time ago after I got clean. He said, the only way you can get FUCK, you got to be in position.
Yeah.
So I don't hang around, doctors hang with doctors, lawyers hang with lawyers, people that use drugs hang with people that use drugs.
Yeah.
The question is, who you hanging with today?
Yeah, birds of a feather do kind of flock together
Yeah.
in this situation.
I hang with recovering addicts. I got a sister got 6 years clean. I have another sister got like 15 years clean. All they was doing was waiting on me.
Yeah.
And it feels good this time. It's something different about the other 2 times. It's something different because I want this time. You know what I mean? I'm not fighting for my sister and them input. I'm not fighting for this little girl. I'm fighting for me.
I wanted to say something when you were talking, Rick. It's in those moments when you're alone with yourself and no one knows that you can do it, that your recovery really takes leaps and bounds, because you know that I could and no one would know, and I could still act like I'm in recovery. They're the moments that make your recovery stronger. Would you think? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad you said that, because like right now, I'm around a lot of alcohol. Right now, I'm around a lot of alcohol in the refrigerator where I live at. I mean, I came downstairs the other night, thirsty as a mother, man, in the middle of the night, and I open the refrigerator. All I see is Wild Irish Rose gallon and Silver Thunder and 211. I ain't messing with you.
No, I'm not drinking.
And the frost is just dripping off of it, man. And I'm thirsty and there ain't no damn water in there. I said, boy, I could really hit one of those and run back to bed, but nobody even know.
No, not knowing it.
See,
That's the issue.
And I got pat myself on the back. I told my son, I said, man, I want to see all that stuff in there last night, man. So now what I do, I just buy a lot more juices. I even bought a big case of water yesterday, put them in the fridge. Man,
right.
Actually, you want water this morning? I said, because I'm not going to like run, but I'm going to keep, like people, places, and things. I'm not listening, I'm tempting fate, but I'm saying I'm positive in what I'm doing. And I know I have those thoughts, and I learned through treatment, those triggers, that kind of stuff can be a trigger for you. That don't mean I got the answer to the trigger.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got to put a bullet in that gun for it to shoot. The trigger can snap all it want to. You can be there, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not trying to recover my way, but I do, and sometimes we do try to.
Well, you've tried that for many years.
Yeah, but I'm listening. I take suggestions from my sponsor and other people in the rooms. That's the power greater than myself right now.
Yeah.
I believe in the Creator. I got a God creator I call Allah, Al-Kaloum, Egyptology. I go farther than Islam, put it like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm a Christian and a Muslim, and all the above.
Yes.
But you know
I
what?
go where God is. But what I'm saying, nothing.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But right now, I got a power working in my life that gives me some insight. Like, son, you got to listen. Don't just keep on just talking, but listen and observe and comprehend what's being said. See, and I understand now. I don't have all the answers, but I understand now. Pick that. I bought me It Works How and Why the other day. I got the basic text. I got Alcoholics Anonymous, because I'm an alcoholic. I'm a crackhead drunk. That's how I announce myself in the rooms.
So here's
Drunk
here's one of the things that I do with people. If we put down a pile of crack here and a cold 40 there, which one you gonna pick up first?
The cold 40.
That's what I'm saying.
Because the alcohol make me stupid enough to mess with that stuff.
Right.
I couldn't go to crack by itself because it scared the hell out of me. I wanted to jump out the window. But see, I would drink, and then I get drunk. So I needed something to lift me up a little bit. So I go to the crack, and then it take me up, and I'll be on the roller coaster ride. Now I'm stuck with that big old monkey on my back. He done turned into a gorilla.
Now, does it make you uncomfortable even talking about it?
No, I like to talk about it. I want to because I learned that addiction is the only disease you can shut up by talking about it. Secrets keep you sick.
Yeah.
If you just don't let anybody know, I felt like that today. Your ass will be high by the
Well,
night.
I say that because sometimes in classes, and I mentioned this in other shows, that sometimes in classes when we're showing some films in which they're demonstrating heroin addiction or whatever it would be, people have to get up and walk out of the room because they feel uncomfortable.
You know, I love those
early in their
marathons.
recovery.
You know, they had those marathons. What they do, that marathon like charge you and energize you, man. Like when I came to a meeting the other night, my son said, I have a son that's 38 years old, and he done been with me through all of this. He was even the guy I was robbing because he was selling at one time. My son said, where you just come from? I said, me. He said, man, you need to go to more of those.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to keep from crying, y'all, but like,
Hey, it's
I
a
get,
real-
my children mean a lot to me. They mean a lot
right.
to me, man. And how they feel about me means a lot.
Yeah.
And so,
I'll say this to you. Your son, they all look at me in another light. And honorably, to me, I always want my man to get clean. Because I know that he's educated, but the disease don't care about your education.
Yeah. Right.
But I know he's a soldier. And he got a lot riding. So I work with him to stay clean. I ride him hard about some things. He know that,
Pause.
Yeah. So, you know, we're going to be all right, man. Because
Well, actually, the vulnerability is actually what's going to keep you sober and clean. It's the vulnerability that you can, when I sit here and see you, it makes you so real and so honest, and it reinforces for me the thought that you are getting it together.
Yeah.
Because you feel the vulnerability. You know, you've gotten through the denial around it.
Yeah.
You're not blaming other people for it.
Yeah.
You're not rationalizing your behavior, and you're actually, you know, not acting out.
Yeah.
And so the fact that there's a tear here and there is actually a good sign.
Right.
It's
The
a
lady
very
told me
good sign.
that was a cleansing for me.
Yes.
The
Yes.
first day I got clean, I couldn't understand why did I cry all day.
Right.
And an older lady said, because God was cleansing you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Sometimes when they hit you in the stomach, you can't do nothing but cry, man. I used to wouldn't want nobody to see me cry because it was a sign of weakness. Then I learned, what? Man, you better cry.
Yeah.
It's actually a
You
sign
gonna
of
go crazy.
strength.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
man.
It's a sign of
Take a
strength.
man. I tell my boys, I tell man, take a man to cry, man.
And this is a man with a machete who's crying.
That would hit you.
How about
That would
that?
hit you at any given time.
How about that?
And then I look, these 2 teeth, I lost these 2 teeth behind drugs. I stole a guy's drugs, and he came around the corner. And my son told him, my son said, my father just was over there. He said, man, somebody just took my stuff, man. I was going around the corner. He caught me with a little sawed-off shotgun. And he knew I had a machete on me. He said, man, I said, fight me like a man. I wish you would have put that thing down.
Yeah.
I'd have cut his hand off. But he just hit me in the mouth with the shotgun, hit me in the head with it first, got me dizzy, and he boom, knocked my teeth right out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then he ran, and I was busy trying to find my other tooth, the big one, and that was crazy. But he's away somewhere.
Just think about that. All the hell we caught in the streets.
Yeah, man,
The
over drugs.
gunshots. And
I wonder, and I don't know, maybe Elizabeth, both of you can talk to this. You know, we reminisce a lot about our stories, and I know they're important because the
Yes.
stories set a history in place. But I know that true recovery is we have to get past our stories and look forward in,
Yeah.
in something that we're doing, never forgetting our
Something to
past,
reflect,
never
something to
forgetting
reflect.
it, but realizing it to be successful.
yeah.
We need to get past our
Yeah.
stories and build a new life.
Right.
Build a new life.
In one of the books it says, when the drugs go and the addict works the program, wonderful things happen. Lost dreams are awakened, new possibilities arise.
That's right.
That's why I want to go to
Something
school.
happens, the hope.
I want to
You
go
know,
back to school.
we do 3 things. We share our experiences, our strengths, and our hopes. So once you get past your past, it's like driving now. You take that mirror and you throw that mirror out the car. You don't want to look back, but you don't want to forget about that. You follow me? You don't want to forget about the horrors of addiction. They say those who forget
the
are doomed
past.
to repeat.
Doomed.
That's right.
But then you start looking at the little blessings that the Creator keeps breaking you off. Just as we sit here now. Somebody using drugs for the first time, possibly the last. Some phone is ringing somewhere with bad information on the other end. Some families are en route to the morgue to identify the body.
Right.
Funeral arrangements is being made for somebody right now. So the question is, aren't you grateful you're here?
Yes.
So you guys are showing people.
My daughter's birthday is today. Not to cut you off, man. I put a $50 bill in her birthday card. I haven't did that ever.
Wow, that's noble.
We actually strengthen the space that we're in, the recovery space that we're in, by making sure that we plan out our future. Now, here's the key to some of this, I think. Both of you are in early recovery. And if you look at the data, I mean, I realize the data changes, is that they say that you need at least 2 years before you can build the kind of reservoir that you need to move on. You know, and so I don't know. I mean, I think we do have to plan. You do have to plan. You have to move yourself forward, but realize that you're still going to be very close to the experience.
Yeah,
And until you get a little time,
yeah,
it'll appear more complicated. And I'll say this about recovery, just as a general issue. Early in recovery, if I could reflect on some of my personal, you always, it occupies a tremendous amount of your time. You think about it a lot, like, today, tomorrow, am I ever going to stop thinking about this stuff and what's going to happen? The reality of life is you do. You actually, it gets to a point where you forget that you are kind of
in the
Yeah,
the
you do.
process.
It's kind of shocking when it first happens because you realize now that your whole life isn't going to be consumed fighting your recovery. But you
Yeah.
have to move to another place so that other things are happening in your life
Yeah.
where you have different fights.
But you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that point. And we're talking about that 2-year mark.
Yeah.
In my early stages of recovery, I started attending a variety of 12-step meetings. Now, I want you to follow me this because this will happen. For 2 years, building up a tolerance towards those urges, cravings, and desires.
Right.
Based on listening to the people that were attending these particular 12-step meetings, how they got through deaths, the loved ones, the loss of the loved ones. Well, only to know that almost at that 2-year mark, I walked in the room and found my mother on the floor dead.
Wow.
Now, understanding this, had I not been in an environment where people were sharing their experiences, how they got through deaths, the loss of a loved one, it was only till almost at the 2-year mark that it happened for me. What did I rely on? I was relying on the things that I had recently heard building up to that 2-year window.
And also, just as another thing that happens is that you actually have to mourn the death of your addiction to
Yeah.
go forward.
Yeah.
You actually have to realize that it's no longer alive in you.
Yeah.
Although, obviously it still can bounce back. And that transition is a transition that in recovery and relapse is somewhere between the 2nd and the 5th year people talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I joke, when you mentioned your teeth, and we used to have a joke when I was counseling people. We used to say somewhere around the 4th or 5th year, you're in the 2nd phase of your recovery, and that is you get your teeth all licked up. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, yeah.
We talk about it, and you would say it, and people always used to say stuff like, "Well, I don't know if I could make it." Well, the question I wanted to ask, all of us have gone through programs, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
There are people who seem to make it without a program.
There are many different pathways
Yes, there are.
to recovery. My friend Blaine, who me and him got high together. Blaine, we both went to jail at the same time. Blaine stayed for a considerable amount of time. After I got out, I got on the road to recovery. Well, guess what? He doesn't attend 12-step meetings or any outpatient programs, or, he's been clean 22 years as well. And I don't challenge his way. He
Right,
doesn't
that's
drink or
exactly
smoke and none of those things. So, something happens that's very unique and it happens intuitively in different individuals. It can be 12-step meetings. It can be church. It can be just something happens in your life. It can be a catastrophe that jolts you into
That's
a
right.
stage of recovery that you say, you know what, I don't want to feel that again. And most of the time, you don't have anything to do with it.
And there are a group of people out there that say, I never saw a therapist, I never went to a meeting,
Yeah.
and at some time in my life, and it's somewhere usually in their 30s, because that's the transition in your body, and your body starts to tell you, I can't do this anymore, 35, 38.
She said that, right?
And you had mentioned that as an issue, that somehow you say, I got to stop doing this.
Yeah.
And people will do it sometimes on their own. Sometimes they'll do it because they join
A church.
they go from a church to a mosque, or they go
Yeah.
from to a Buddhist temple, and something clicks because they're ready to hear it.
Yeah.
But that disease still be waiting. Though.
Oh, it's there. It's always
It's
there.
always
I
waiting.
always feel it. It's just that's what I was made aware of, and I keep that in the forefront of my mind. Joker, I know you just sitting around here somewhere waiting to
Yeah.
jump
Well, it is
up
insidious.
any
It does-
chance.
Well, the book, one of the books says this, that we suffer from a disease that has no known cure.
Right.
It can, however, resurface at any given
It
time.
can be a
It can manifest itself in other areas of your life.
But I keep
You-
myself busy.
They told me that the
Always
12-step
busy.
program is not for those who need it, it's for those who want it.
Exactly. Right.
And you can,
Everybody
you-
don't want it, and
Well,
everybody
there's a prevailing philosophy.
everybody can use a 12-step
There's a
program.
prevailing philosophy out there that every person who has an alcohol or drug problem has a co-occurring disorder, has some kind of mental.
Yeah, because they
You
say
look at
alcohol,
the relapse material.
drugs
it
and
talks
alcohol is
about
the most
that.
obvious symptom. That's what the book says.
Yeah.
It's the most, that's what you can see a drunk, or you can see a crackhead or a pothead, but you can't see a guy who's addicted to sex unless he's raping somebody, or a guy who's addicted to being beat all the time. Some people are addicted to violence. Some people are just addicted to to just run around painting on people's walls and stuff. They have an addiction to messing up people's stuff.
Yeah, the point I was thinking is that you could be clean and sober, and there's a term called like a dry drunk, but you're still nasty. You still haven't changed. You're still your crazy old self. You're just not drinking behind it or doing drugs any longer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's really recovery. You've been arrested, so to speak, in your addiction.
Yeah.
And I've often thought, and there's a lot of people who do feel this way, that everybody in recovery needs some counseling to help them pass through. Now, obviously, we get that sometimes in meetings, and you get it in groups, and so things happen. So there has to be this kind of psychological change that accompanies the physical withdrawal from this.
I think everybody on earth needs some kind of program.
Yeah.
That's just from raising a child, raising a child up. If you read the scriptures are like a program in your life. It's got a set program, prayer and meditation, and then ask for forgiveness, and then things you do, the 10 Commandments and stuff. That's a program.
Yeah, it is a
Now, everybody needs a program in their life, for real. I'm looking around, I done been around a little bit. I done been in the military, met a different kind of people in different races, been in prison, anthropology thing, like studying man's social behavior in institutions, and this, the actions, the way people act amongst each other. Everybody should have some kind of program in their life. I'm telling you, because if not, you're going to have chaos. You see the dysfunctional families and stuff. Every family should have somebody that all go to some kind of meeting.
Having some special force in our life, a God, making amends, doing those kinds of things. The 12-step
Admitting
program
some
really
stuff.
winds up being a way of life.
Way of life.
And we tend to identify it with a group of people, but the value of the program has a lot of universal issues, and as we've often said, they connect to Islam, they connect to Buddhism, they connect to the Judeo-Christian philosophy. So if you're a good person, you would be practicing the program, so to speak, however you interpret the program. I know that the 12 steps tends to have a Christian base to it.
Yeah.
But they're all good ways of dealing with the world. You make amends, you have restitution.
Indeed.
They're all things that you want to do in your life if you want to be a good person, however you interpret good.
Some of those things in some of the 12-step programs are originally the same things your parents were teaching you.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Don't go off the step. Don't go around it.
Tell the truth.
Good orderly direction.
Admit it. Be honest.
Yeah.
Get honest was a thing that even the children learn when they go in the room.
Sure.
Get honest, because you're sitting there lying.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that in the room. Come in and talk about. I had a guy came in. He had 9 years. He said, "Man, I'm gonna tell you, I've been getting high for the last 6 months."
Yeah.
And that really crushed my recovery somewhat. Cause I used to go fishing with this guy, Rose Valley Lake in Williamsport. I used to hang with him, and he actually sat there and told us that he had been getting high. He been hanging around me.
And you didn't know?
And all this. No, I didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
he
how
was coming in
deceptive
the
it
rooms,
is.
and that got me, man. I said,
Gotta-
wow,
you
people
gotta-
actually
you gotta
lie
free
about
yourself.
this.
Let me ask you, Elizabeth, you're here listening, and I realize, a lot of it makes sense to you. But did you want to put a different twist on it, maybe, or does it make sense from a woman's perspective, or what, or is it just basically to you?
It's about what I'm doing different. See, before I stopped going to meetings, I stopped going to my programs. Then I got the wondering in my head and what's around the corner. I stopped doing what I needed to do. So now, what I'm doing differently is, I'm in a place where I want to be at in recovery. With other women. How to talk to other women, how to get along with other women, how to socialize with women.
Are you in a women's group? Or
Yes, I'm in a
okay.
woman's house. So I'm doing a lot of things different. I'm taking more my recovery. I'm just focused on more like myself. And if I can help any other woman while I'm doing it, I'll do it. But I'm doing something different, that I didn't do before. I'm talking a little bit more.
And sometimes people used to say, the early part of recovery, you get selfish. I don't think it's being selfish. But people will talk about in early recovery, you got to worry about yourself.
Yeah,
Only
that's
worry
what they
about
say.
yourself.
That's
And
what they
we
say.
do have to worry about ourselves. I'm not arguing that point.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean at the exclusion of the rest of our life.
Yeah.
But it is a part of that. When I was treating some people, they would say, well, I can't go to that wedding because it's too tempting. well, maybe you can't go to that wedding now, but eventually you'll go to a wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll eventually go to a wedding, you'll
going
go
to
to
a
a
But
place
But
with
everywhere you
parties.
go at, they got beer, they got liquor.
Yeah, I mean-
my brother still do his thing, smoke his weed. I never smoke weed. I never drink beer. I never drink alcohol. I was strictly Coke. But people still doing what they want to do, and that's what they need to do. I know I can't do it.
Yeah.
But,
So,
but eventually,
as long as I keep that there, I'll be
but
all right.
eventually, wholesome, full recovery means that you can walk in that space
Yeah.
and not be tempted by that space.
I've done it last week.
Yeah.
You know what's
Everybody
really
was sitting
interesting
out
about that? We were just at a wedding in Vegas this past weekend. We had at dinner, nice, wonderful restaurant at dinner. Now the groom and the they got married. She drinks. I was sitting next to her. They brought out a couple of bottles of wine at an Italian restaurant, and just and I'm just telling you how this disease doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Awareness is key to your recovery. I'm sitting next to her, and they're passing the bottles of wine around, and the guy says, "Would you like some wine?" And you gotta almost laugh at yourself. I'm saying, boy, it really would really be nice, but I know what's at stake.
That's right.
Listen, my taste buds was saying, "Go ahead." My mind was saying, "Fool, you'll never get out of Vegas."
Right?
So
You'll wind up in California.
You say no, thank you. I have some ginger ale.
Yeah, they brought
With
me
no
some
shirt
sparkling-
on, with no
some
shirt
water
on.
out
And it
there.
is very, very recovery and the concept of relapse. It's very deceptive. I mean, like I had a friend of mine who was in recovery for many, many, many years, and he relapsed because guess what? He was eating rum cakes.
Cake.
Wow.
He kept eating a lot of rum cake, and he said, "Well, I didn't relapse. I'm just having cake." But the cake was, if you've ever had rum cake, it's just dipped in rum.
Yeah, you
So
know.
he's having like 2-3 cakes a day.
Yeah.
2 or 3 a day.
Well, he was eating a lot of cake and getting high off of the cake.
Yeah, switching
just
seats.
But did he know
upside
what he was
down.
drinking?
How
Did he know what he had?
deceptive.
He knew.
No, he told me he was just eating cake. But I mean, but I'm saying that's how deceptive the disease is.
yes, it
That's
is.
the same thing a
Kind
guy
of
told me.
comes around and holds on to you, and you don't even know you relapsed.
Right.
So awareness.
A health tech told me the same thing with 2% alcohol.
Yeah,
He
that's
said,
right.
man, that's still alcohol. And same thing with me. I don't even want no cough syrup that's got alcohol in it because my body don't know and my disease don't know whether it's from the doctor or whether it's actually from the bar. So why even chance that? So now I have to watch that this winter.
Yeah.
If I'm drinking any kind of alcohol, any kind of cough syrup, if I have to have some cough syrup, that's got
Now,
alcohol.
for
I
maybe
don't
for
want that.
another meeting, because we only have a few minutes left today, but I know that there are people who say, well, I just had all my teeth pulled and I didn't take any Percodan or any Percocet and all this kind of stuff. The reality of life is, I think there is a place for medication.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the rule generally was that you only take
Take
the
it
medication when
as
you have
prescribed.
pain. You don't just take it to take it. Some people say, well, I don't have any pain anymore, but I'm going to take my Percocet. But
'Cause of that
as long as
feeling
you
they
take
give
it when you have pain, you get relief, and then when the pain reappears, you get relief. That's one of the thoughts that's out there about how recovery people would take medication. But I have friends of mine who would say, don't ever, ever do anything. And they go through tremendous pain that's really unnecessary.
I take ibuprofen now I got a pin in my toe, and I take ibuprofen. They gave me that at the VA, and it don't bother me. I guess it's non-narcotic or something, but I can feel the difference because the pain goes away.
It goes away.
One
I
of the things
took 2
I've
of them.
read in
Motrin's
some of the
a good one for
literature
that,
is
too.
mainly when it comes to like medications and whatever the case it is, whether it's a narcotic or psychotropic, I only take it as prescribed.
Prescribed, or when you have pain.
When you have pain.
Sometimes.
So,
Now let me just end with, again, I said we only had a minute or two. I was wondering, in going from here to a new place, where do you see your life going? Maybe could I get half a minute from what do you think you might want to be doing in the next 6 months or a year? And now I know both of you had mentioned you want to get back to school and stuff like that, like things like that. How do you see yourself moving and transforming yourself from where you are today to another place? Let me give you like 30 seconds each because I don't have much time left.
Well, I know I want to go to the gym and go to school.
Okay.
Well, I got a lot of stuff on my plate, and I'm planning on going to this place called Veterans Haven in over by Camden. It's a home for homeless veterans. I got a lot of people want me to train their children. They want me to work in the gym and on this boxing program. So it's a lot of stuff that I want. I'm really undecided. I just know my main thing is just stay clean.
Yeah.
Stay clean, and
That's number
everything
one.
else is going to be a plus.
Yep.
And so I'm going to make another meeting. I'm going to meeting tonight at 33rd and Diamond. And
Yeah.
so that's, matter of fact, I'm going to sign that book.
Great.
That's my home group.
Yeah.
But that's from 6 months from now, I don't know. Because I get my license back in a minute, I want to drive some trucks again. It's a lot of stuff I want to do, man. It's just, now
But
that I'm
what-
clean, my mind is just like scattered right now.
But both of you know that you have to do something different than you've been doing
Oh,
in the
yeah,
past
of course.
in order to maintain the
Yeah.
space and your recovery, which I
I'm
think
not
is
hanging around those drug houses
significant.
or people who use
Exactly.
drugs.
Yeah. And
That
I guess,
right there is number one.
New friends.
well, I guess we
new
can end by
atmosphere.
I
saying,
don't want no new friends. I got an
Well,
old
and
one.
recovery.
He
You
just
get
got
new
over colon
friends.
cancer. He don't get high or nothing. I hang with him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as usual,
This
this is, again, something we hear a lot in recovery. We got to stay away from
People,
those
places.
people,
Places and
those
things.
places,
And
those
them
things.
things.
And the fourth one that a lot of people forget is our life situations have to change. So it's people, places, things, and situations
Yeah.
Well,
that need to change in order for us to maintain.
I'm being
our
grandpa.
recovery.
I'm being grandpa again. Every day I have to go get my grandchild
right.
from school, and then
Love
the other
being-
ones have to play with them and give them some little candy, and
I love
and
being a
then I
grandparent
got so
myself.
many more of them grandkids. They keep me busy.
Yeah, I totally appreciate being a grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great place to be because you can give them right back to your children at the end of the day. Okay. Well, that's all we have time for today. I want to thank my guests for joining us today and thank you for tuning in. You have been watching the Tapestry of Life on CCP TV, the educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. For more information, please contact the college. I'm Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services. See you next time. Thank you.